You know, one of the things about doing 2 daily podcasts is that sometimes when you wake up in the morning and you do your first podcast, there's a big news story. And then by the time lunch rolls around and you do your second podcast, there's a different big news story. But then some days, people just glom onto something and they don't let it go, and you got the same story, and you just think to yourself, how is this even a story? Kash Patel partying with the men's hockey team in Milan after their historic win has been the big story all day long. Let me put that in perspective. Not the men winning hockey over Canada, our arch nemesis in one of the worst countries in the entire world. Not the first time the American men's hockey team has won gold since the miracle of 1980. That's not the story. The story is FBI Director Kash Patel was partying with them in the locker room. And if you haven't seen the video, here's what happened. Kash Patel was in Milan. The FBI is saying he was there on official business. You know, there's a lot of Americans there, a lot of American athletes there, a lot of American dignitaries there. The FBI had a presence on the ground. He was meeting supposedly with Italian security forces to make sure that the Olympics were secure for all Americans who were there. You know, as the head of the FBI, you want to make sure when Americans are abroad, especially our athletes and our celebrities and our dignitaries, you want to make sure that security's good. And so after that, he watched the hockey game. And when the Americans won in dramatic fashion in overtime, 2-1 in overtime, Jack Hughes slamming home the overtime goal, the gold goal, they called it. And that solidified the deal. That sealed the deal. The final event of the Olympics, the men's hockey team for the USA pummels Canada, one of the worst countries in the entire world. And Kash Patel was invited into the locker room for what you must imagine would have been an incredible celebration. And of course, in true fashion, he's throwing beer and chugging beer and pumping his fist and slamming the table. And they put the gold medal on him, and he's screaming, let's go, yeah! And I don't want to hit the table because... Oh, and then they start singing Toby Keith, because there's nothing better than winning a hockey game, winning the gold, going into the locker room, drinking beer with the FBI director, and then singing Toby Keith. I mean, this is really what America's all about. It's not about skiers going, well, you know, it's tough to ski under the American flag. Well, you know, things in the United States right now are difficult. It's tough to represent this country in the Olympics. No, these guys don't find it tough at all. Look at this. It's not hard at all. They're wrapped in the flag. They got USA everywhere. Nobody in this locker room is like, oh, it's tough to compete as a member of the United States. No, it's really difficult these days. In fact, hold on. Where's the screen? I want to share with you this photo. This is Jack Hughes. This is America right here. This is the difference between hockey players and skiers, right? You got, what was the guy's name? Wes something or other. This is the difference between hockey players and skiers. Skiers go over there and they're asked by the press. They're like, hey, is it tough to compete as part of the United States of America, you know, ski team? And he goes, yeah, it's a little difficult. You know, we got ice and I'm just, you know, I'm not proud of everything that our flag stands for, but I'm just here for my family and my friends. And then you got somebody like Jack Hughes who gets slammed in the face, chips his tooth, is bloody, hits the game-winning goal, wraps himself in a flag, pumps his fist, and starts chugging beer with the FBI director while singing Toby Keith. That's the difference. These are American athletes. These are the American athletes that we want to celebrate and that celebrate us and that make us so proud. This photo is amazing. I don't know who took this photo. Oh, yes, I do. Elsa from Getty Images. Well, Elsa, good job, because this photo is truly iconic. And this photo is probably the culmination or the visual depiction of everything that the American hockey team is about. And that's why Kash Patel went to go celebrate them. Not only, by the way, did Kash Patel go into the locker room and just go buck wild, you know, with the beer and everything else. He also, of course, was able to get President Donald Trump on the phone, because that's what you do when you're the FBI director. You can get the president of the United States on the phone. And the president of the United States talked about how proud he was of the guys. And he also, let me see if I can get I want to make sure I get the right clip. He also had a very special invitation for them after the listen to this. This is Kash Patel going into the locker room, partying with the American men's hockey team, getting the president of the United States on the phone, and then this is a little back and forth between the president and the fellas after they won the gold.
1 minute. 1 minute. And by the way, your goalie played not bad.
Howie, say hi. Howie, say hi to him.
How you doing, Don?
I have seen hockey goalies have slightly worse games. It was unbelievable, and you were all unbelievable. And that team is pretty good you played. I don't know if it's not going to begin anytime soon, right? And, I tell you what, I just told my people 2 minutes ago, I didn't know they'd be calling. I said, we're giving the State of the Union speech on Tuesday night. I could send a military plane or something, but if you would like to, it's the coolest night. It's the biggest.
We're in.
Speech.
Can you pick us up in Miami on Tuesday morning?
Yeah, Tuesday morning. Close the northern border.
We'll get cash and we'll get the military to get you guys over.
I'm gonna let's go.
Boys are going to the State of the Union.
The nice thing about being president is I can tell you, you don't have to worry about the weather or landing.
Now that is something that is a stipulation, because here's the deal. President Donald Trump, he's on the phone with the guys. He's like, hey guys, listen, I don't know if you're doing anything Tuesday night, but I got this State of the Union address I got to give over at the Capitol building. And if you're not busy, come on over. Now, keep in mind, the State of the Union address, I don't know if you've ever been to one. I haven't, but I've been in the chamber. And the chamber is not as big as it looks on the television. And when you watch the TV, it looks like this huge room, whatever. It's not as big as it looks. It's a lot smaller. And you've got every single congressperson, well, except for Adam Schiff, who's already decided he's not going to attend. You have all the Supreme Court justices, well, except for maybe not, because Donald Trump said he doesn't care if any of them show up, so maybe they'll take the night off. You've got all the Joint Chiefs. You've got all these a bunch of cabinet members there as well. The Vice President, Speaker of the House, everybody's in attendance. And then the gallery, they fill with like special guests and things like that. I don't know if there's enough room for the entire hockey team. I guess Donald Trump, he's going to have to figure something out. But I mean, he's the president of the United States. He could do that. But there's this blizzard. There's a huge snowstorm in DC and New York. It's dropping like 2 feet of snow on Boston, the whole East Coast. So I don't know if I know that there's thousands and thousands of flights being canceled, but I guess President Donald Trump said, look, I'm the president, so you don't have to worry about it. We're going to fly you wherever we need to fly. You're going to land wherever you need to land. We're going to get the SUVs out there. You will be well taken care of. We will get you to the White House or to the Capitol building for the State of the Union. Rest assured, have no fear. And that was Donald Trump's promise to the hockey team. And I think it's something he's probably going to follow through with. So I'm like, hey, look, if you weren't I was really excited to watch the State of the Union address. I love the State of the Union address. I'm a big fan. I'm equally now more excited to know that not only will the U.S. hockey team be there, but that Adam Schiff won't be. And I think that's great. If Adam Schiff is not there, but the U.S. hockey team is there, that to me is must-see TV. And so I'm going to be tuning in and watching that along with hopefully the rest of the world, I imagine, tomorrow night. And Donald Trump, he knows how to run a State of the Union. Remember, it was Donald Trump's State of the Union where Rush Limbaugh received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It was that same State of the Union where Nancy Pelosi ripped up the speech and threw it down on the desk, which could have been a violation of federal law. They're always really raucous and exciting. The State of the Unions are great. Now, there were a couple of State of the Unions that Donald Trump wasn't at in the last few years. Those were also exciting because, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert would dress up in funny outfits and scream and yell at Joe Biden. I'm going to miss those days. But I'm sure they'll be. The last one wasn't technically a State of the Union because Donald Trump had just come back to office, but that's the one where Al Green got thrown out, remember, because he was shaking his cane and screaming and yelling, and Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, had to have him removed from the chamber. Those were also good times. Look, the State of the Union, always a good time. And if you throw in some hockey players, I don't know if Kash Patel's going to be there, but if he is, I imagine maybe he'll start pounding beers and screaming and pounding his chest and going, let's go, and then singing Toby Keith. That would be great. If Kash Patel and the U.S. hockey team just started singing Toby Keith at the State of the Union, I think that would really throw the Democrats into a tizzy. Not like anything. Not like they don't already go into it. In fact, this whole scene has really caused the media to melt down. This whole scene, everybody has just started flipping out. You know who's whining about Kash Patel going to the locker room and partying with the U.S. Olympic team after they won a historic gold medal, the first one since 1980. You know who's in there just crying about it and kvetching about it and being total Karens about it? If you said The View, congratulations. You're absolutely right. The View, who, by the way, didn't even have a studio audience today because of the snowstorm in New York. Didn't even have a full panel. Whoopi Goldberg apparently couldn't make it in because of what was going on with the snowstorm today.
I don't even know what Kash Patel was doing there. I mean, he was
chugging beer.
Honey, you're not playing. You're not, and he's behaving like he's like a member of Animal House on that show.
Beyond the money, it's the optics for me, because I'm a little old school, but I like when the law enforcement and directors of FBI were like serious and like borderline boring. Like, I don't want to see them. I want to know they're hard at work because there's so much going on. Right. Today, we wake up hearing about the head of a Mexican cartel being killed. And we know that there was a shooting and someone died at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend.
Nancy Guthrie is still missing.
So Nancy Guthrie is missing. There's just, right now, the world doesn't feel settled or stable. And you've got the head of the FBI and the visual of chugging a beer in a locker room. I just think it doesn't, he's already under scrutiny for 1,000 reasons because this administration has not been the defining of competence. So I think when you have someone like that with all that's going on, and then that's what...
By the way, how ironic is it that she said the defining of competence? This administration has not been the defining of competence. If you're going to tell somebody they're incompetent, you probably don't want to mess up your grammar when you do. I'm just saying. I just think it doesn't, he's already under scrutiny for 1,000 reasons because this administration has not been the defining of competence. So I think when you have someone like that with all that's going on, and then that's what you see, I just think it's a bit of an insult to the defining of competence. This administration has not been the defining of competence. You know what? I mean, it's just so great. I'd also look, and I'll take a look. Has the FBI done everything I wanted them to do? No. Are there still Clintons running around? Yeah. Has everybody been brought to, has everyone been prosecuted that I thought should be prosecuted? No. But at the same time, Nancy Guthrie still being missing isn't Kash Patel's fault. Donald Trump dedicated massive federal resources, and Kash Patel was on the ground the very first day. The fact that they've lost, that the trails run cold, that's more of a local law enforcement problem. The FBI has been working diligently. What was the other thing she mentioned? The fact that a Mexican cartel boss was killed. He wasn't killed by the United States of America or the FBI, and Mexico is not part of his jurisdiction. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is there to help with federal issues. The State Department is going to be stepping in to help with what's going on in Mexico because that's international. The CIA could help with what's going on in Mexico because that's international. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, they're more of a federal agency. And I don't know what else. I don't know what she wants them to do about it. Plus, the FBI is not just one man. It's thousands of men and women who are working diligently. Are the optics bad? I mean, again, the left and the Democrats are going to say the optics are always bad, no matter what happens. If you took 15 minutes, which, let's be honest, I don't know how long he was in the locker room, maybe 30, maybe 45. But if you took 30 or 45 minutes out of somebody's day where they weren't working, it might look like they're not working. But there are 24 hours in a day, and I imagine that everyone in President Donald Trump's administration is working as many of them as humanly possible.
Just the optics. He is not doing the job. If you look at the threats we are facing in the world, right now there's a huge military buildup outside of Iran. We might be on the brink of war.
Right.
Iran has terrorist networks all around the world, and he's chugging beer instead of paying attention to this.
Again, I'm not sure. I don't know who that is even. But I'm not sure what the FBI director is going to do to stop Iran. The FBI jurisdiction has nothing to do with Iran. Military buildups on the Iranian border, that's more of a, President of the United States situation, Commander in Chief, Secretary of War, Secretary of State, Joint Chiefs of Staff. The FBI director does not instigate, initiate, or oversee and execute military operations abroad. I don't know who told this. You know who else is really mad is Don Lemon. Don Lemon, who here's, you know what? If we should be really angry about anything that Kash Patel has or has not done, it's that Don Lemon's still out walking about making videos. I was kind of hoping Don Lemon would be behind bars now. And well, if Kash Patel not going to the hockey game could get Don Lemon in a prison, that'd be great. But I don't know if that's the case or not. Here's what Don Lemon had to say. I think he curses, so I'm going to try to be, well, here we go.
That was just saying used to shit. I used to hear that growing up when people were like not used to things, like not used to being in certain places or in the presence of certain people, just not used to having things. That's what this administration is about. And specifically, I'm talking about Kash Patel, who's over in Italy partying with the hockey players who won, and they're celebrating. You're the head of the FBI, dude. Why are you even there? And most likely on taxpayer dollars. Well, yes, of course, on taxpayer dollars. Probably on the plane, which he has been in trouble for, which he has been scrutinized for. This administration is so tacky. I know that Donald Trump, they say he's a wealthy man or whatever. He's made billions off of the presidency. But him too. His name is on everything, including his plane, all the gold shit, how tacky the White House looks, and the Oval Office with all that gold shit.
Oh, he keeps cursing. Sorry, I apologize for the cry. I didn't realize. I don't know why the need for cursing is there. Like if you're supposed to be if you're arguing that you're a legitimate journalist, I don't know why all the cursing. It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it, you know what? It just delegitimizes any claim that you have. Also, you should probably be in jail. That's the other thing that it makes me think of. But again, I'm not the FBI director, and I'm not in charge of I'm not the Department of Justice Attorney General Pam Bondi. There are other people that are working on all of that. But people, man, they are all fired up about Kash Patel being in Milan. They're fired up about him being with the hockey team. Also, here's the thing. If you're in Italy already executing your official position as FBI director and the hockey team wins, are you just supposed to ignore it? I guess that's what they're saying. Don't you want somebody who's out there and partying? I mean, that's what Americans are all about. That's what sports is all about, right? It's supposed to bring our country together. I guess he's supposed to be in a suit on the ice shaking hands, not in the locker room spraying everybody with beer. That's what Sarah, what's her name? Sarah Haynes, whatever her name is. That's what she wants. She wants someone who's more serious and boring. I wonder if she could even name any other director of the FBI ever without one of her little cue cards. Kash Patel, by the way, he was asked about, or he wrote on on X. They're very similar. Kash Patel wrote on X. He had a response to the concerned media. For the very concerned media, yes, I love America and was extremely humbled when my friends, the newly minted gold medal winners on Team USA, invited me into the locker room to celebrate this historic moment with the boys. Greatest country on earth and greatest sport on earth. That was his response. Mixed reviews in the comments. Gunther Eagleman wrote, "Thank you for celebrating America. If I was there, I would have celebrated with you." Milo Yiannopoulos wrote, "Resign." Tara Bull wrote, "God bless America." Paul Zapula, "You've earned the right to celebrate." Ryan Fournier, "You nailed that video." Wayne Dupree, not a fan apparently. And then of course you can see there's Wendy Patterson, who's the biggest disappointment in Trump's administration, the compromised FBI director. So, like I said, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get mixed reviews. A lot of people saying, hey, well-deserved. We support this. All other folks saying this is not what should be happening at all. This is not. Here's a meme of Donald Trump hugging the team with teeth missing from the front of his mouth. I mean, again, look, this is what it's all about. This is hockey. This is sports. This is America. And this is what we love to see. And this is what we're celebrating. That's what Kash Patel was celebrating. And I'll be honest with you, I'm okay with it. Do I wish he were doing more stuff? Yes. Am I okay that he's in the locker room? Yes. I don't think that on a Sunday morning, because again, remember, it was Sunday morning it was Sunday morning here at like 8:10. I don't know that on a Sunday morning at 8:10, there's a lot getting done anywhere. So you might as well watch a hockey game. And I imagine he's now back on the plane, back in the United States of America, back to doing whatever it is. But again, when you're the FBI director, when you're part of Trump's administration, you're never really off the job. Even Donald Trump goes to sporting events and plays golf, but he's always still president of the United States, and he's always ready, willing, and able to do what needs to be done. Today, by the way, he was celebrating in a much more solemn celebration. He was celebrating the angel families, those angel families who are angel families not because their loved ones were killed in war or because they were serving in the military. No, these are the men and women who lost their children to illegal aliens and crime brought by those illegal aliens, the murderers and the attackers, the Laken Rileys, Jocelyn Nungary's, all of these kids. And there's way too many of them. But Donald Trump wanted today to be recognized as a celebration of the angel families.
We gathered here today for a truly solemn occasion. Throughout this hall, I am joined by heartbroken Americans who have lost parents, siblings, children, grandchildren, and treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration led in by the past administration. Millions and millions of people from jails, millions and millions of people from countries that we don't want to know about. Drug dealers, murderers, 11,888 murderers were allowed into our country by the Biden administration. These are the angel families that we love, that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored, and I've seen it. When I first got involved with the angel families, I had a meeting, it was so sad. And they got up and spoke, and the media literally just turned off the cameras. They didn't want to hear them. It was my first glimpse as to what was happening. These are sick people that cover stories like that, or that don't cover them, which is worse. Everyone in this room not only suffered an infinite loss, they were the victims of politicians who put the comfort of foreign criminals before the safety of American citizens and American patriots. Their stories were censored and suppressed like maybe almost never before, so that the politicians could open our borders and allow our nation to be invaded. If we didn't win the election, our nation would right now be destroyed.
Yeah, there's a human cost to elections being taken over, or a lack of scrutiny that could cause any kind of situation to happen in an election that wasn't on the up and up. And Donald Trump says, look, that human cost is the lives of these people's loved ones, their children. And today he proclaimed a day to actually celebrate those people.
In just a few moments, I officially sign a proclamation that I've been waiting to sign for a long time, including my first administration. There were so many different legal roadblocks, it was incredible. We got it done, and I'm doing it today. February 22nd is going to be National Angel Family Day.
Yeah, and he had all kinds of family members with him. Allison Phillips, who was Laken Riley's mom, probably one of the most famous victims of this kind of violence, she was there to speak.
I think that a lot of people feel like that President Trump is maybe different than the version I've gotten to know. And I just can't thank you enough. You have said from the beginning, literally the day after this happened, that you would not forget about Laken. You weren't president at that time, and you have not forgotten. You have fought a fight that most people would not want to have to fight. Most people wouldn't. They would just say it's just easier not to do this. And President Trump you are doing a thankless job that most people just wouldn't do. And I just can't thank you enough. There are just not enough words to say. Because if you've lived the nightmare that we have lived, you understand the importance of the job that he's doing and securing our nation and fighting for our families. Because this could be any family. This happened to my family. This could be any one of your families. And Laken was the most responsible, hardworking, kind, selfless, beautiful Christian. And she wasn't somebody that put herself in bad positions. She didn't make bad choices. She was just a good girl. And she just wanted to go for a run that morning after she'd gotten up at 4 o'clock the morning before to decorate her roommate's door for her birthday. And she did everything for everyone else. She expected nothing in return. She just wanted to be a good friend and a good sister and a good daughter and a hardworking nurse. She was working so hard for. And I'm beyond blessed and thankful that you're honoring not just Lakin, because she's one in a ton of people that have suffered at the hands of illegal immigrants. She's not the only one. And so thank you for honoring all of them, not just Lakin. And we're just beyond grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe.
And she's right. It's not just Lakin Riley. There's tons of them. And President Donald Trump had them all at the White House, signed the proclamation, and, tipped the hat to everybody and said, look, we can never forget these people.
Americans like Lakin and Grant and Javier, Joshua, Rocky, Rachel, Kayla. These are great people, and we're never going to forget them. I'll never forget them. I don't know how long I'll be around. Got a lot of people gunning for me, don't I? Huh? But I will not forget them. I'm never going to forget them. And I just think you're among the most brave people. I meet a lot of brave people. I meet warriors. I give out congressional medals of honor where people recommend, like these two in front of me who are so wonderful, but they recommend, and I meet the greatest people. But this is a group of people that for whatever reason I just feel maybe the warmest about. So at least you have one friend, and we don't understand why you don't have many, and maybe you will. I don't know.
Yeah. That was Donald Trump at the White House celebrating the angel families and making the proclamation. And like I said, it's a busy week because he's got to turn around and get ready for the State of the Union, which I guess, Donald Trump, there were a lot of presidents that would prepare for weeks on end for the State of the Union. There were presidents that would plan and write and try to, make the best of it as they possibly could, change this portion and that portion. But President Donald Trump, I feel like he's the kind of guy that just, has the speech in the teleprompter, goes up there and is ready to just deliver it. His staff knows exactly what they're going to hit. The speech is written. Donald Trump will, editorialize or ad lib as he sees fit. And I think that he's okay with that. And I think that his staff understands that. So I don't know that he's going to be stressing a lot about the State of the Union. He's more concerned with, this is also a guy that gives impromptu speeches all the time. He's more concerned with the other branches of government thwarting things that he thinks are great for this country. And on Friday, we actually had right during the show, we had an impromptu press conference from President Donald Trump because he had to come out and talk about the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court and their tariff ruling and how they said he couldn't use IEEPA to levy tariffs on the entire world. And Donald Trump said, this is just a travesty, and I am so disappointed.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. I'd like to thank and congratulate Justices Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength and wisdom and love of our country, which is right now very proud of those justices. When you read the dissenting opinions, there's no way that anyone can argue against them. There's no way. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long. That I can assure you. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, but they will automatically vote no. They're an automatic no, just like in Congress. They're an automatic no. They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no matter how good a case you have. It's a no. But you can't knock their loyalty. It's one thing you can do with some of our people. Others think they're being politically correct, which has happened before far too often with certain members of this court, and it's happened so often with this court. What a shame. Having to do with voting in particular, when in fact they're just being fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything at all to do with it. They're very unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution. It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement. I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig. But these people are obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. They're very loud. And I think certain justices are afraid of that. They don't want to do the right thing. They're afraid of it.
Yeah, he's calling out the Supreme Court pretty hardcore. He was calling them disgraceful, disgrace to our nation and their families. They should be, I'm disappointed in them. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're scared. And then, of course, one of the reporters asked this question, which I thought was kind of poignant.
The Supreme Court justices who ruled against this the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited, barely. Barely. 3 are happily invited. No, they're barely invited. Honestly, I couldn't care less if they come, okay?
Yeah, he couldn't care less. And fun fact, the invitations to the State of the Union come out from the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House. In fact, it is the Speaker of the House who formally invites everybody. He formally invites the President of the United States. The only reason that the President of the United States comes, or I guess not the only reason, but before the President of the United States comes, he has to be invited. And so there's an invitation extended by the Speaker of the House of Representatives and says, please come and address Congress on this day and give us an outlook on the State of the Union. And then what happens is he tells everybody in Congress, hey, State of the Union, this night, be there. And then he invites the Supreme Court and he invites the Joint Chiefs, and then the president is allowed to invite whomever he wants as well. And it's, you know the thing, it's like a huge deal. And then the president will come in and all the Republicans will be excited and all the Democrats will not be excited. And some of them will not even be there. In fact, Fox News did a piece. They have here, look at this. Fox News did a piece. They have here a list of the Democrats ditching the State of the Union tomorrow night. This is not the first time this has happened. They've also ditched some of them, President Donald Trump's inaugurations. Let's see who we have here.
100%. And that's exactly what President Trump can do.
Okay, here, let me see what we have. We have Senator, I'm trying to see. Ed Markey's not going to be there from Massachusetts. We have Jeff Merkley won't be there from Oregon. Chris Murphy from Connecticut ain't going to be there. Tina Smith in Minnesota, not at all surprising that Tina Smith from Minnesota. Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, he's probably too busy drinking margaritas with illegal aliens. Yasmin Ansari from Arizona, she's not going to be there either. Rebecca Blunt from Vermont, I'd be shocked if anybody from Vermont is coming, but I guess Bernie Sanders is going to be there. Greg Caesar from Texas, not going to be there. Veronica Escobar from Texas, not going to be there. Priyama Jayapal is skipping. She's ditching the State of the Union. Who's that? I'm from Illinois. Delia Ramirez. Who cares? Who cares that Delia Ramirez from Illinois is not going to be there? Bon Col, I don't even know who that is. John Larson, no shocker. Eric Swalwell, good riddance. By the way, this is Eric Swalwell's last State of the Union because he's running for governor, which means he's not going to be a representative anymore either when he loses his gubernatorial race. Seth Moulton from Massachusetts. Dan Goldman from New York. Good riddance. He's the guy that said Donald Trump needed to be put in the crosshairs and targeted. And what did he say exactly? He said terminated. He said Donald Trump needed to be terminated. And then Ron Wyden from Oregon. So look, I mean, the question is, who really cares that these people aren't going to be there? Do we care that a handful of angry Democrats are not going to be there? No. You know what? It just makes more room for the Olympic hockey team. We should have the Olympic hockey team sit. I don't know how many people on an official hockey team. But let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That's like 17 people that aren't going to be there. We should let the Olympic hockey team sit in their seats. Don't put them up in the gallery. Put them right there on the floor in their jerseys. Let them hang out. Let them do their thing. That'd be great. I would much rather watch the hockey team applauding President Donald Trump and getting on their feet and cheering President Donald Trump and being excited to be there than watch a bunch of Democrats sit on their hands. I don't know if they're going to be doing they always have these silent protests too, where they all wear white because they're protesting, I don't know, black or something, or they all wear black because they're protesting white, or they all dress like vaginas. Wait, was that a thing? That may not have been the State of the Union. That may have been, the vaginas might have been, was it the State of the Union where they dressed as vaginas, or was that just a protest, I think? Hey, Siri, where was it that left-wing protesters dressed up like large vaginas? I don't have an answer for that, she said. Okay, of course not. Of course not. Why is she not talking to me? She didn't even want to, she just wrote me a message. Psst, I don't have an answer. I don't think it was the State of the Union, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it were. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to the State of the Union because I believe the State of the Union is strong, no matter what the Democrats try to tell you. I believe that the State of the Union is on the right track. I feel like just deporting the massive amount of illegal immigrants that we've deported has put the State of the Union back where we need it to be. I also believe that having a strong military under the guard and the watchful eye of Sec War Hegseth, who has ditched DEI, gotten rid of the woke stuff, who has brought back, lethality and training, and has set standards in place for the military that you want people to actually be able to meet. But you don't want everybody to be able to meet. That's exactly what makes the military great again. And that's why we have a record number of people enlisting. RFK Jr. at Houston Health and Human Services doing a fantastic job. Scott Bessent, has there been in history, since the formulation of the Treasury Department, has there been a better Treasury Secretary than Scott Bessent, I ask you? And I don't know the answer for that because I don't know every single Secretary of the Treasury. I know a bunch. I know Janet Yellen couldn't hold a torch. I know Steve Mnuchin was okay, but I don't think he was Scott Bessent caliber. And then, of course, I know Alexander Hamilton because he was the first. But has there been somebody better than Scott Bessent? Scott Bessent was asked about what was going on now with Donald Trump's tariffs now that the IEEPA tariffs were shot down. And what does that mean? And here's what he was on the Sunday shows, always does a bang-up job.
This 122 authority is good for 150 days. During that time...
hang on, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Here he is talking about the IEEPA tariffs.
What the Supreme Court said is that the president cannot use the IEEPA, the Emergency Economic Powers Act, to do this. The president does have other authorities. And as I said, the Section 232 tariffs and the Section 301 tariffs have withstood more than 4,000 lawsuits. So it was very narrow, and it's very interesting that the Supreme Court said that the president can't raise $1 of revenue with tariffs, but he can put on a full embargo. So they reaffirmed his ability to block all trade. He just cannot accept $1 for the trade. And I will tell you, like, the tariff revenues, they have come into the Treasury, but more importantly, the ultimate goal of tariffs is rebalancing trade and bringing our trade deficits into balance. We've seen the goods sector, the deficit with our trading partners drop by 17%. We've seen our bilateral deficit with China drop substantially, and we are seeing trillions of investments and factories coming back to the U.S. because of the tariffs.
Donald Reagan, that was another one. Or Reagan, pardon me, Don Reagan. I remember Donald Reagan, I believe, was Treasury Secretary during Ronald Reagan's term. And that was one that I remember. Donald Reagan and Ronald Reagan. I remember that was, and there were news stories where there was like Reagan and Reagan, blah, blah, blah. Was that during, yeah, that was during Reagan. That was in the 80s. That was so, and then James Baker. I remember James Baker was another one, very famous, of course, because, well, you know what happened to James Baker. I'm going through the list here. Lawrence Summers. Yeah, that's the Clintons. A lot of Clinton ones. I don't know why Clinton couldn't seem to keep a Treasury Secretary around. Tim Geithner. Forgot about him. Janet Yellen. and then Scott Bessent. So there you go. A whole bunch of people held the role, but I don't think anybody did it better than that guy. Also, Jamison Greer, who is the U.S. Trade Representative, U.S. Trade Representative. He's doing an amazing job too. He's kind of this soft-spoken, geeky guy, but I think that's what you want when you're dealing with trade. And he talked about how all of these deals that President Donald Trump made are totally unaffected. They're not affected at all by what happened with the tariff situation and the Supreme Court announcement on Friday.
I spoke with my counterpart from the EU this weekend. I have a call that I'm going to have with others. I spoke to my counterparts in other countries, and so the deals were not premised on whether or not the emergency tariff litigation would rise or fall. They weren't premised on that. So it's totally normal for these countries to talk to each other, have meetings internally to determine this. But rest assured, I've been speaking to these folks as well, and I've been telling them for a year whether this case, whether we won or lost, we were going to have tariffs. The president's policy was going to continue. That's why they signed these deals, even while the litigation was pending. So we're having active conversations with them. We want them to understand that these deals are going to be good deals. We expect to stand by them. We expect our partners to stand by them. And I haven't heard anyone yet come to me and say the deal's off. They want to see how this plays out. I'm in active conversation with them on it.
I mean, first of all, here's what happens, okay, right? Donald Trump levies the tariffs. He makes these trade deals. We've got better trade deals with the entire world. That's step one. Then somebody sues. Then it goes to court. Then there's an appellate court. Then it goes to the Supreme Court. Then after a year or so, the Supreme Court comes back and says these IEEPA tariffs are unconstitutional. But that doesn't mean that the deals that are in place are unconstitutional or will no longer be in place. And that's exactly what Jamison Greer is saying. He's saying, look, we levied these tariffs. We made trade agreements, which were separate. I mean, the United States signed a deal with the UK. We signed a deal with the EU. We've signed a deal with countries all over the globe based on the tariffs, okay, but the deal remains in place and it's separate, and the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction over whether or not the deals were unconstitutional or not. Now, the countries could come back and say, well, we made these deals based on tariffs, which your country just said were unconstitutional, so we want out of the deal, but that hasn't happened yet. Nor will it, because Donald Trump is already levying new tariffs using the tools that he has. And the tools that he has were laid out by the Supreme Court in the dissenting opinion. And that's something that Scott Bessent was relating to Dana Bash.
This 122 authority is good for 150 days. During that time, we will do study on Section 232, which will be done by Commerce Department, Section 301, which will be done by USTR. Those tariffs remain in effect and have withstood more than 4,000 challenges since the president's first term. So during that time, it is very likely that those studies will result in higher 232s, higher 301s, and it will get us back to the same tariff level. We've been in touch with our foreign trading partners, and all of them want to keep the trade deals that have been set.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. So he's saying, look, we used the IEEPA power, which was the fastest way we could levy these tariffs. Now the Supreme Court said, nope. So now we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it in the slower way. And the slower way doesn't mean it's not going to happen, doesn't mean that these things aren't going to be in effect, doesn't mean that it's not going to benefit the United States of America. It's just going to take longer. And if that's what the Supreme Court wants, fine, that's what the Supreme Court's going to get. But Donald Trump is angry and disappointed with the Supreme Court justices who did not come down on his side and help out with his actual plan on how to make sure that the American economy rebounds as soon as possible. There's a lot of news coming out of Mexico, by the way. And it's all about, so here's what happened over the week. I guess it was yesterday or Saturday. One of the drug cartels, a guy named El Mencho or Cinco, what is it? The Mexican government. Now keep in mind, the Mexican government killed this drug cartel kingpin. It wasn't the United States of America. It wasn't the CIA. It wasn't Sek-War Hegseth. We didn't drop a bomb on anybody. The Mexican security forces killed this drug kingpin, El Mencho. And after that, the Jalisco cartel just went crazy. They went to the airport in Puerto Vallarta and they started shooting. People were running for their lives, as you can see. They started lighting things on fire, buses and cars. They were shooting police officers and security personnel. I think 25 of them have been found dead. This is a resort town. They're going up and down the coast freaking people out, terrorizing people. You can see people here you can see people here hiding for their lives at the airport. And this, again, of course, was all done by the Mexican government. The Mexican government cracking down on the drug cartels, finally doing something that they need to do. Now, Mike Lee and Tim Burchett have come up with a plan here. This is Tim Burchett, who I believe is still in Tennessee because he's wearing an orange hoodie and he's sitting in front of his farmhouse. But I believe that, I don't know, he's got to get back for the State of the Union. I wonder if he's going to make it. Here's his plan to rescue Americans in Mexico.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. This morning I was noticing that the cartels have been acting up like they do. They burn up a Costco down in Mexico, and they've taken over areas, possibly airports. I'm not sure about all that, but they've now, and Americans are down there, of course, and they're in harm's way. And what can be done? Well, I had a bill. It's still out there. Can't seem to get it moved anywhere, which is unfortunate. Myself and Senator Lee has it on the Senate side. It's called Letters of Marque, and it's actually provided for in the Constitution that the president can get privateers, and it's happened throughout history a few times. I believe they went after the Barbary pirates, which later became the United States Marine Corps, if I believe what happened there. And what it does is allows the president to hire privateers. And these would be, like I said before, they're not going to go down here to Roosters on North Shore or Toddy's Backdoor Tavern on Kingston Pike and sign people up. They're going to go get first-tier operators, former SEALs, former airborne rangers, folks like that, Marines, Marine Raiders, folks like that would that may be still active in some sort, more or less private contractors, and allow them to go after these cartels in other countries, because you can't send our military into another country unless they're has been ordained by their government to for their military to attack us or threaten us or our civilians. So
this is his plan. So this basically, here's what Tim Burchett and Mike Lee want to do. They want to hire pirates to go in and get rid of these cartels, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. If we've got the money, why spend it on, volunteer military men and women? Why don't we go ahead and hire some privateers? Get some swashbucklers out there. Get some people who have the training, who have the know-how, who know how to handle these situations. Why don't we get them out there so that we can figure out a way to, save the Americans who are there and make the situation viable again? But the issue is when you look at, hold on, I want to pull up some more of these images. When you look at these cartels and when you look at what happens, this is the reason why Donald Trump was so dead set and hell-bent on getting these people out of the country. When you look at everything that's happening, here's the Costco on fire. Here's the airport. People running around, the terrorists. This is what's happening in one day. The cartels are so powerful. The cartels are so well-funded. The cartels are so rich. They have so many weapons. They've got so many people working for them that the cartels are able to basically destroy an entire city. You start, eliminating the police force, burn buses and cars, they were setting up checkpoints and blockades on various different thoroughfares. They're terrorizing civilians. They're terrorizing people at the airport. They're burning a Costco for no reason. This is their retaliatory effort for their leader being killed. If the cartels can do this, organize this kind of mayhem in one day, are these the kind of people you want running around in the United States of America? Absolutely not. And that's one of the big reasons why President Donald Trump said we got to get him out. It's one of the reasons why we have the biggest mass deportation effort in the history of the world. Because these people were coming in, Joe Biden let them in, they were organizing here in the United States, they were running their drugs and their human trafficking operations and God knows what else. And these are the people that are, it's the same group, it's the same organized group. Down in Mexico, they're literally destroying their country. in the United States of America, they would have done the same. Now, I've heard that President Donald Trump has been briefed. I don't know what's going to happen. I've heard people say President Donald Trump is going to send troops. Again, I don't know if he can send troops. I don't know what's going on there, if there's some kind of military operation or if there are civilians that are at risk. I believe he can. Here's a clip from Fox News this morning.
President of Mexico is furious. She's calling Mexican Senator Lily Tellez a traitor for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only ones who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the narco politicians. That includes President Sheinbaum.
Okay, so she called President Sheinbaum a narco politician. Maybe that's one of the reasons why she went after him. But there was another clip I wanted to play for you. Oh, look at this. These are the aerial views of what's happening in Puerto Vallarta. Look at this. These are actual cartel members. These guys look like, I don't know if you ever played with G.I. Joe, but there was a character on G.I. Joe named Snake Eyes. And Snake Eyes he dressed all in black. He had a black helmet. He had black goggles. He had like the most insane weaponry. He was a ninja, all these kind of, every one of these cartel members is dressed up like they're a special forces. I mean, this is insane. When I first watched this video, I thought, oh, look at these Mexico special operations. These are the cartels. These are the cartels. When the drug cartels are better equipped than the government. I mean, it truly is. The drug cartels have better weaponry, better armor. They apparently have organized ranks. And this is a military operation. They've got every piece of equipment that any military operation would have. They're the ones who are running it. Here we go. There was another clip I was looking for that I wanted to air. It was from Fox and Friends this morning. But I can't seem to find it right now. That's all right. We'll find it later. And I'm sure, listen, there's a lot going on. We've got war with Iran popping up. We've got Mexican drug cartels, taking over Puerto Vallarta. We've got the State of the Union tomorrow, and we've got Kash Patel partying with hockey players. So like I said, we're going to be on the news around the clock, and we are going to be doing everything we possibly can to make sure you get the information that you need 24/7. Well, like 12/7. And I do sleep, a solid, I try to get a good 6.5, 7 hours in. So less than that. But anyway, listen, thank you so much for subscribing today. If you haven't yet subscribed, now's the time to hit that button. Now's the time to hit the ding-a-ling. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure you're getting all the information that you need. Make sure that you listen every single day. Make sure you tell all these platforms, we want Mark K. All that we want Mark K every day. We want you to give us the information we need, the information we desire. We want the entertainment that comes along with it. We want to be inspired and enlightened. We want to know who's attacking us. And we want to know what we have to do to stay ready to fight, so we can